You're tuned to Wish TV, Channel 8 in Indianapolis. With Neal Moore and Tina Cosby. Weather with meteorologist Tom Magnuson. And sports with Jim Barker. This is News 8.
Good evening. The drama is over in Zionsville, where firefighters worked late last night and into this morning to free two men trapped in a trench cave-in.
One of the men was killed, the other injured, when the walls of a 15-foot ditch crumbled in on 4 workers laying sewer lines. News 8's Rick Dawson has more on the tense rescue effort and the questions of safety which persist.
Back here. Right there.
Workers of the Snyder Company of Nashville, Indiana were finishing up laying sewer lines in a 50-foot-long trench in a housing development being built in Zionsville.
Evidently, when they were doing this, the sides caved in. A couple of the other guys went down, tried to get one man out, from what I know, and then they got trapped also when the sides came in on them.
4 men were in the ditch, 2 escaped. One was buried up to his waist, another was buried completely. Zionsville firefighters and other local rescue workers dug frantically to save the men. They had to dig themselves out of 2 smaller cave-ins. Finally, after 3 hours of laboring, the construction worker who was only partially buried was brought out.
There he is. See? Guy in the white.
And moments later, 47-year-old Hiram J. Snyder, the vice president of the Snyder Company, was taken by Lifeline helicopter to Methodist Hospital. The body of his partner, 31-year-old Fred Byers Jr. of Newport, Kentucky, was found under several feet of dirt and mud just after 3 a.m. As morning broke at the accident site, the hole had been filled, and officials began asking questions about safety.
What I'm standing inside is a safety device used by excavators. It's essentially a steel box which goes down inside a hole and shores up the sides. It was not used last night. If it would have been, it probably would have stopped the cave-in. It was only brought in to help with the rescue efforts.
But the trench cage didn't arrive until after the first man had already been rescued.
There was no shoring, no nothing as far as a safety device.
And that put your men in jeopardy.
That put my men in jeopardy.
Because we had quite a few people in that hole trying to save Mr. Snyder, was trying to save them both initially. And we could have lost quite a few rescue personnel with another cave-in.
Here's what those rescue crews faced: a trench 5 feet wide, 15 feet deep, with no reinforcement. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, requires one of 3 designs to be implemented with trenches deeper than 5 feet. The first is the trench cage you just saw earlier. The second, a system using planks and jacks to support the sides. Or the third, to dig the hole wide enough to prevent a cave-in. One of the workers who escaped last night told us none of these precautions was used because of the number of underground cables and wires the workers found. Early this morning, James Chambers returned to his home in Kentucky and told us, quote, "I've been in this 22 years, and to try to shore it with jacks, it wouldn't have worked. And it was impossible to use a cage. You know, we just tried our best, and it didn't work." The Occupational Safety and Health Administration will look into this accident. So will the Boone County Prosecutor's Office. Chief Parmalee wouldn't speculate on the charges that could be filed, but when asked if he believed any safety precautions were sidestepped,
I don't believe I would have been in the bottom of that pit like that. It's just not a chance you take.
In Zionsville, Rick Dawson, Wish TV, News 8.
Efforts to contact a member of the Snyder Company for comment were unsuccessful. Tonight, Hiram J. Snyder remains in Methodist Hospital in serious condition.
Well, an elderly Indianapolis man was critically injured in a fire today. It was just after 12 noon when firefighters were called to this house in the 900 block of Dearborn. After 2 neighbors tried to rescue the occupant and failed, another attempt was made to rescue the man.
Firefighters then entered the house through the front door, went through the smoke and fire-filled room, and found the victim laying on the bathroom floor.
Lewis Meredith, believed to be in his 80s, was taken from the smoke-filled house. Tonight he's listed in critical condition at Wishart Hospital.
Well, historically significant buildings lost to fire. It's a citywide problem that appears to be on the upswing. The concern isn't so much for the structures that have been preserved already, but instead for the many buildings that have been abandoned, boarded up, and forgotten. As News 8's Helen Somerset shows us, fire officials say historical importance aside, the places are a hazard they don't need.
It's a sad situation facing many neighborhoods. Homes, once well kept, have become nothing more than dilapidated fire traps. Case in point, last night's blaze at 733 North College Avenue. Although the structure had been identified as historically significant, it more recently had also been identified as a fire hazard.
When I called a representative of unsafe buildings to this building approximately 3 weeks ago, they had identified the building as unsafe. They cannot tear it down because of historical preservationists, but we don't want our firefighters going into an unknown, a vacant, locked up, boarded up building and not knowing what they're getting into.
You don't have to look too far back to find other examples of abandoned buildings with preservation possibilities burning to the ground. Just last month, a time-worn structure along North Indiana destroyed. The fire department claims to be caught in a bind, although officials realize that some of the buildings they're concerned with do have some historical interest. They are also worried about the safety of their employees. And if ensuring that means tearing down some of these buildings, well, then so be it. One local preservationist agrees completely. The only request J. Reed Williamson has is that city officials commit more time to locating and telling the owners of such buildings they need to renovate.
That process, however, takes some time, and that's why I think it needs a lead time of at least a month and a half in order to start that process, so that we know by the time cold weather hits what problems we have and by way of individual buildings and what we don't have.
Preservationists say they're committed to working out the details with the fire department. Proof that they can cooperate with the city, one of the nation's greatest examples of a building saved from demolition, Union Station. Helen Somerset, Wish TV, News 8.
Well, a call has been made for the resignation of a Fort Wayne police officer who shot and killed a recruit during a training exercise in Michigan. 25-year-old Omega Graham Jr. was fatally wounded during a mock argument by an officer who was playing the role of an angry tenant. 14-year police veteran Gary Stevens fired what he thought was an unloaded gun. Now, Jesse White, director of the Fort Wayne chapter of Operation Push, says Stevens should resign and the FBI should investigate the killing. Fort Wayne Police Chief Kenneth Van Ryn says he welcomes such a probe but won't comment on the resignation call. Well, still ahead on News 8, was it a rare taste of freedom for hostage taker Tony Kuritzis?
And Evansville remembers one of the darkest days in the city's history.
It probably has made the people that were there at the time, and even people that have joined since, more conscious of a tragedy.
Petey, we're going to share our Christmas this year.
Will you share your blessings this year? Send your donation to the United Christmas Service, 1828 North Meridian.
West 57. Each week, the faces of our times and the stories they tell. The unique, the controversial, the gifted. All the faces of West 57.
Each Saturday evening at 10 on Wish TV, Channel 8.
What do I like about Dave McIntyre? The price. I shopped all over town, and Dave McIntyre really does sell for less.
What do I like about Dave McIntyre? You only need a small down payment, and most people qualify for GMAC financing with just $240 down.
What do I like about Dave McIntyre? The selection. Hundreds of new and used cars and trucks.
For 23 years, Dave McIntyre Chevrolet Isuzu.
He really does sell for less.
Cubby, we're going to share our Christmas this year. Mom says some kids may not have a Christmas at all. You and I aren't very big, but I know we can help through the United Christmas Service. You know, I've seen a lot of Christmases, but this is going to be the best one yet.
Share your blessings. Call the United Christmas Service at 924-1454.
After 10 years in state mental institutions, notorious hostage taker Tony Karitzis may have enjoyed a few hours of freedom today. A judge's ruling last week made it possible for Karitzis to leave Central State Hospital, accompanied by his longtime friend, Joe Collins. The two reportedly planned to eat at a restaurant or go for a drive together. Last week, Karitzis turned down a judge's offer of permanent freedom with a full-time guardian. It was in 1977 that Karitzis was found innocent but insane after wiring a shotgun to the neck of a local businessman and parading him through downtown Indianapolis. Karitzis was to return to Central State Hospital by 8 o'clock tonight. Now, a hospital official refused to confirm or deny if Karitzis actually left the hospital.
Well, this is a somber weekend in aviation history. 2 years ago, on December 12th, a plane occupied by 256 U.S. soldiers on a peacekeeping trip to the Middle East crashed in a Canadian forest. An investigation showed the plane may have been overloaded. Friends and families of the servicemen gathered in Arlington, Virginia to commemorate their loved ones. The ceremony was sponsored by No Greater Love, an organization founded to support the families of victims of war and terrorism. Well, it was 10 years ago tonight that a DC-3 airplane carrying the University of Evansville basketball team, 11 team friends, and a crew of 3 crashed on takeoff from the Evansville airport. There were no survivors.
The tragedy on that foggy, drizzly night stunned the southern Indiana town, and for many residents in the area, the memories are crystal clear. Evansville television reporter Brad Bird looks back at the accident and talks to the people who were touched by the loss.
In December of 1977, these UE freshmen were just 8 years old. But today, many of them still stop by 2 stone slabs, the UE memorial to a group of young men, their coach and friends who died that night.
A little hard to put into specific words, but I think everybody at a time like that feels the need to try harder, to do better, to embrace higher values and standards in order somehow to compensate for a great and apparently senseless loss.
It was Graves who held that first news conference as the tragedy unfolded. Today, he's writing a personal memoir of the crash, which he says represents a single moment that changed the university's history.
You can still see students go past the memorial and will stop and will read and even pause. It probably has made the people that were there at the time, and even people that have joined since, more conscious of a tragedy.
Ironically, due to a conflict of schedule, had Pittsburgh known there was an open seat on the flight some 30 minutes sooner, he would have been on the plane. It was a young team entering its first season as a Division I school under first-year coach Bobby Watson. Watson replaced Arad McCutcheon, who for 31 years guided the Aces. Today, McCutcheon remembers many of the young men he recruited.
The 6 that I recruited, the few that come to my mind immediately were excellent students and outstanding people and well liked at home.
They were a very special group of guys, all very personable, very friendly. As far as the basketball team goes, I don't think I've really ever known a better group of basketball players.
Those grainy images still burned in our memory left a mark on Evansville history. The tragedy perhaps was best put to words in a simple headline written by then Sunday Courier and Press editor Bill Jackson.
As you may remember, it was a rainy night, and as I looked over the story and felt myself the mood of the city, it was something that just came to my mind almost immediately. The night it rained tears. It seemed to be very appropriate for the mood of the community.
Federal investigators determined the plane was tail-heavy because of improper loading and because the crew failed to remove outside control locks from the craft's aileron and rudder. Now, tonight at 11 o'clock, a report on the rebuilding of the university's basketball program. Tom.
Well, today was a little bit better than yesterday. We did have some sunshine, and the winds were lighter, so it felt a little warmer outside. Up next, we'll take a look at that big storm that's spinning off to the southwest and see which way it's headed.
Make Galleons your sports center for the holidays because Galleons has it all. When winning is what matters, Fisher is the name to choose. The Fisher SLS ski, a soft slalom ski designed for the performance skier at Galleons just $269.99 and a Bic rack free with purchase. And these tough, versatile, and stylish ski or boot bags from Sports Graphics in the latest fashion colors and price to sell. At Galleons, your choice just $14.99. Are you serious about your sports? You know we are. Galleons.
It's Christmas at Luskin's, and all through the store are gift ideas and values galore. Like the GE 20-inch color TV at only $229, or the Yamaha keyboard Luskin's holiday priced at $69. The RCA remote VCR only $249. Electronic toys for grown-up girls and boys. All holiday priced by the cheapest Santa in town.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
And if you can, please, help someone else have a Merry Christmas, too.
The Salvation Army, believing in miracles.
Tom Magnuson is approved by the American Meteorological Society.
Well, this is the kind of weekends that we get in December. Lots of clouds and cold weather. But, hey, we're watching out for this thing coming in from the southwest.
I was just telling Neal earlier, I've got a brother stuck in the middle of that. He was heading home for Christmas. Yeah, called this morning and he said he's stuck.
From the warm southwest,
From the warm southwest, right.
Lots of snow down there. We'll take a look at that in just a second. Here in Indianapolis today, we did have some sun, and that helped us get up to 40 degrees in the middle afternoon hours. Our low this morning was 32, 31 degrees in that area. The normals for the state are 40 and 24 degrees, and we've had no precipitation so far today in the capital city. At 6 o'clock, the temperature is 37 under cloudy skies. Dew point is 26 degrees. Relative humidity, 64%. A west wind at 7. The pressure rising slowly from 19 inches. And a check of temperatures in the area at 6 o'clock hour shows us quite a range. It's below freezing up at Chicago with 30 degrees. And down at Louisville, it's 43 degrees. And we have winds blowing in lightly from the west. And it looks like we are going to see cloudy skies for much of the rest of tonight. The reason I say that is because we just have a ton of clouds down to the south of us, and it looks like they will continue to just spin toward us and continue to just swallow up any clear skies that are over the Ohio Valley now. Notice this. Here's the storm center right here in the upper atmosphere across the Four Corners area of the U.S. And the low pressure area at ground level is centered just about over El Paso, Texas. Hardly moved all day today. And underneath these bright white clouds that you see here, there's been more than 1 foot of snow falling across parts of southern Colorado and northern New Mexico during the last 24 hours. This storm is going to start to move to the northeast, and so we'll keep a careful watch for it, especially if you're traveling to the west and to the northwest of Indianapolis. Super radar right now showing some rains off to the east, but really not a whole lot, just some scattered precipitation there. But way out ahead of the storm, already some rain starting to fall in the western part of Kentucky, back through Arkansas, a few thunder showers around Texarkana, Arkansas, and back to the west here. Start to pick up some snow around Wichita, Kansas, snowing across the Texas Panhandle, and where there are radars in this area, they're picking up snow too. But again, heavy snow in that area, and the storm bears watching as it moves to the northeast. Afternoon temperatures in the 20s to the northwest of us. Then we pick up the 40s across the Ohio Valley, and warming up nicely in the southeast. This storm has a lot of temperature difference to work with, so it's going to be a strong one as it does head on to the northeast. Highest temperatures tomorrow, 70s and 80s across Florida. That sounds nice. Quickly cools to the 50s, 40s, 30s across Indiana, and where the storm is into the north winds bringing in teens and 20s for high temperatures. By early Monday then, we are looking for a big swath of precipitation along that low as it moves into North Texas. the rain-snow line. You can imagine it here right across central Indiana. So as this rotates onto the northeast, a chance for some rain and snow showers tomorrow. But by later on Monday, it will be warm enough so that we'll just see rain showers in the area. Then as we head into Monday night, rain is likely, and by Tuesday morning, that storm, as I see it now, is going to be moving into Illinois to the west of us. So we'll see a good chance for some rain showers here in Indiana. The real trouble spot to the west and to the northwest of that low, and as we can see here, there is a chance for some accumulating snow as far south as northwestern Illinois. But in this yellow area here, there's a potential for 8 to 12 inches of snow from central Kansas through about Des Moines, Iowa, Omaha, back to Minneapolis, St. Paul, through northwestern Wisconsin. Again, that's way up to the northwest, so if you're planning to go that direction, keep abreast of the latest forecast. My forecast for our area is calling for mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, we'll drop to about 33 degrees. For tomorrow, there will be a chance for some rain and snow showers. I don't think they'll be particularly heavy, though, a high of about 37 degrees. Then tomorrow night, we'll see slowly rising temperatures with rain likely, a stiff east breeze. And then for Tuesday, a good chance for some showers, maybe some snow showers later in the afternoon, a morning high of 46 degrees, a chance for flurries then on Wednesday. And it looks like we are, for the most part, going to see more rain from the system than snow. I don't know if that's good or bad news.
So far, so
Christmas. Well, it's going to be rain.
We'll see. Well, coming up next in sports, the Colts find themselves buffaloed at the Hoosier Dome.
I just think that things were going our way and things weren't going their way, and that's pretty much what happened.
Petey, we're going to share our Christmas this year.
Will you share your blessings this year? Send your donation to the United Christmas Service, 1828 North Meridian.
It was the attraction that created this year's biggest box office hit. It's also a dangerous reality. On the next Hour magazine, The Fatal Attraction Syndrome, Dr. Sonia Friedman offers keen insight.
With this kind of person, the attempt to be nice only gets you into difficulty.
On the risk that lust can create.
Sometimes when women choose to get revenge, they will bypass the man to get revenge at the other woman.
Monday at 9 a.m.
Some people think I'm a supermom, spotless house, Paris this weekend. Well, I can't do everything, but I can give my family a great snack like Arpin strip cheese. It's low in fat, high in protein, and it's an excellent source of calcium, too. I buy the family pack and convenient single packs for snacks. It's a snack kids like, and it's good for them, too. I know because I'm a registered dietitian.
And a supermom.
With Arpin strip cheese.
In your dairy case, take it anywhere. Spell it out with a 1/2 carat diamond bridal set for only $4.99 from the Shane Company, direct diamond importers. She'll remember this Christmas. Here comes the bride in an exquisite wedding ring of matching marquee diamonds. 1 carat, only $14.99. Make it a Christmas to remember from the Shane Company. Christmas on the rocks, diamonds that is, from the Shane Company, where the unforgettable savings make this a Christmas to remember. Now you have a friend in the diamond business.
Talk about lost opportunities.
You have a lot of stuff there to get to show us, and we'll let you say the rest.
It was pretty well documented. The matchup was going to be Hinton and Smith, and guess who won the battle? The Colts' playoff hopes go on hold. The offense was cold. On the Buffalo defense, I am sold. The Bills hold Eric Dickerson to a mere 19 yards rushing, and once again, the AFC East is up for grabs. A great crowd today at the Hoosier Dome, but didn't see the home guys win. Jim Kelly gets the scoring started in the first quarter. 12-yard pass to Ronnie Harmon to make it 7-0. Jack Trudeau sacked here by guess who? Cornelius Bennett and Bruce Smith. Smith actually gets credit for the sack there, and it's just not a good day overall for the Colts. Scott Norwood with a field goal from 39 yards out made it 10-0 in favor of Buffalo. Eric Dickerson, this is the highlight for him, an 11-yard gain, and it looked like the Colts had something going down to the 26-yard line of the Bills. But then Jack Trudeau had Billy Brooks open for a moment, but he wasn't open when he threw this pass, intercepted by Mark Kelso. The Bills back in business. Trudeau hit again hard after the pass by Smith, was shaken up and had to leave the game briefly. Backup Sean Salisbury came in. His first pass, his first play, 8 yards to Billy Brooks. The Colts had a 4th down situation after this and decided to go for a field goal. Dean Biasucci 30 yards out, and that's all the scoring, folks, for the Colts. It was 10-3 there. This is the wildest play in the game. Kelly back to pass. It's tipped and eventually caught by Ricky Porter, and it sets up another field goal by the Bills. It made it 13-3 at the half. The Colts got a big break in the third quarter. Ronnie Harmon looks to be headed toward the end zone, but fumbles into the end zone. Nesby Glasgow with a big hit. Mike Pryor recovers his second fumble recovery of the day. Chance there for the Colts to get some momentum going, but here are the two principals in that big trade we're talking about, Dickerson and Bennett. And guess who wins this battle? Bennett with the stop there. Trudeau intercepted for a second time, this time by Wayne Davis, and that was pretty much it for the Colts. Trudeau was shaken up later, hit after the pass. He left with a bruised right hip, and Salisbury came in the game. 2 TDs for the Bills in the fourth quarter. Kelly 8 yards to Tremaine Johnson. He was 18 for 34. Bills win 27-3.
I mean, we have to play like we have nothing to lose, just like we're a last place team, and we want to be a spoiler. And that's really what we are. We're not in last place, but we're a spoiler this year. You know, we want to try to get to the playoffs, and you just have to play like you have nothing to lose.
You know, it wasn't any idea of being flat or being, I think, unprepared or anything. We just couldn't make the plays, came very close at times, and they made the plays.
I hate talking about this playoff nonsense before we're there, you know, but you have to keep something rolling if you're going to indeed try to get there, and we let one slip by today. We have 2 more chances to do it, and that's what we have our sights set on for. San Diego first.
I don't think I ate Hinton for line. Hinton is a good offensive lineman. I just think that things were going our way, and things weren't going their way, and that's pretty much what happened.
This game, you know, I can't, lie and say it didn't mean something special to me, but it's just another game, another game toward our goal is, to reach the playoffs.
We didn't play any different defenses. We just looked at the plays all week on film and tried to figure out where he'd be entering, and our guys just played hard. They just played great, and they were getting help from the secondary and not letting the passing game click too.
And after the game, Chris Hinton was not talking to reporters. The other key matchup in the AFC East in New England, a win for the Patriots, keep them in the playoff picture in the AFC East. Big day for Steve Grogan. 4 touchdown passes, all in the first half. This one 28 yards to Stephen Starring. 2 of his passes for touchdowns were hauled in today by Cedric Jones. The Patriots now are 6-7 in the hunt with a 42-20 win over the Jets. Former Eagle quarterback Ron Jaworski was on hand in Philadelphia, in Miami colors, I should say, and the Dolphins win this game 28-10. Dan Marino, 376 yards on 3 touchdowns. Now Miami, the Colts, and the Bills are all tied now for first with records of 7-6. Dolphins win today 28-10. Let's go to the NFL scoreboard. The Browns beat the Bengals 38-24. Washington over the Cowboys. New Orleans has the longest winning streak now in the NFL, 7 straight, and Green Bay has beaten Minnesota. Some games still going on. Kansas City leading the Raiders in the third quarter. Cardinals surprising the Giants 27-17. Pittsburgh has just taken the lead over San Diego in the third. Detroit over Tampa Bay 10-3. The Rams winning big over Atlanta 33-0, and 1 game going on tonight. Major trade overnight in the NBA. Golden State and Houston swap centers and guards. Joe Barry Carroll and Sleepy Floyd will go to the Rockets. Ralph Sampson and Steve Harris will be headed to the Bay. Let's show you a fight last night in Detroit. Sensational battle. Fortunately, nobody was hurt. Isaiah Thomas of the Pistons and Sidney Green of the Knicks get locked up here. Isaiah wasn't happy with the pick and squares off with Green. And watch Bill Laimbeer get into the act. I think he's trying to be kind of a peacemaker here. And then Patrick Ewing comes in from behind, throws a combination. Nobody hurt, but a wild night in a game that the Pistons ended up winning. The Pacers back in action on Tuesday against Atlanta in Atlanta. That'll do it.
Non-contact sport.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, Dick, thanks. Coming up in the next half hour, Dick will have a profile on one of the hottest female basketball players in the state.
And attorney Dan Byron has some advice for people going through divorce that could have an impact on their bank accounts.
Next, dogs kill the boy's 3 pets.
He picked up the dog. We found the duck dead. The neighbor who had given us the duck.
How old was the duck?
Oh, I don't know, probably 2 years.
But the defendant is outraged at his neighbor.
This is not a neighborly act when somebody's dog is being lost and then the pound is being called. Any dog owner...
It is not only a neighborly act, sir. It is a duty that she has to
Monday at 5:30.
When you have miles to go and promises to keep.
Listen to the heartbeat of America.
You could just discover new Chevrolet Corsica. And find not just a sports sedan with exceptional road performance, but a sports sedan designed to keep all your promises.
The heartbeat of America.
Corsica.
That's today Chevrolet.
At Big R stores, 30,000 items mean 30,000 ideas for Christmas.
Give your loved ones something they can really use with a gift from Big R. Make a tough job easier with a rugged, dependable power tool from Black & Decker. When the job calls for a precision hand tool, the job calls for Stanley. Big R has all kinds of Stanley tools for all kinds of jobs. You trust Stanley, and you know you can trust Big R.
The folks at Big R want to wish you a happy, healthy holiday season.
Almost anything, Big R's got it.
Ready for that new fur? Come see us at the Anderson Fur Company. We're very proud to be able to offer the most desired world-class quality designer furs at half the price every day year-round. Bill Blass, Anne Klein, Courrèges, Valentino, Oscar de la Renta, all under one roof at half the price every day year-round. Come see us. The Anderson Fur Company, State Road 32, Anderson.
In news around the nation today, a recently divorced father went on a shooting rampage in Oklahoma City, killing his ex-wife, 2 young sons, 2 adults, and then himself. Virgil Knight also reportedly shot his 4-year-old daughter, who remains in critical condition.
Well, in the wake of last week's superpower summit, voices of caution are being raised about the nuclear arms reduction treaty. Henry Kissinger and presidential candidate Bob Dole say they're pleased that relations between the U.S. and Soviet Union are improving. But both men say President Reagan should proceed carefully.
And I'm uneasy about the fact that this whole disarmament process focuses on nuclear weapons, which we have needed to offset Soviet conventional preponderance, and that there has been next to no negotiation on conventional weapons. It's like Goliath telling David, you begin the process of disarmament by getting rid of slingshots.
I hope that someday we can trust Mr. Gorbachev, but until he produces on human rights in the Persian Gulf and Afghanistan and Nicaragua and Angola, then I think we need, then we can say, well, he carried out what he said he would do, therefore we can have some trust in what he does. But he hasn't done anything yet. We haven't removed one missile, we haven't done a single thing, so I think we ought to reserve our trust.
The so-called INF treaty would eliminate all short and medium-range nuclear weapons.
Well, before the stock market crash in October, many of us didn't appreciate the impact of such economic concepts as foreign trade deficit. Now we pay closer attention to our relationships with other countries and how they affect our own pocketbooks. Many Americans stood up and took notice of foreign trade issues this week, as we see in this Business Week in Review.
The decline in the value of the dollar was expected to help the U.S. trade deficit, but it didn't work that way in October. Even though the weaker dollar made foreign goods more expensive, Americans continued to buy imports, especially cars, and the trade deficit jumped a record $17.6 billion, a whopping 25% increase over October's shortfall. The Commerce Department's report Thursday sent the dollar plunging to new lows on world currency markets, and the news reversed 3 days of healthy stock market gains. The Dow dropped 45 points in the first 15 minutes of Thursday's trading. It was more than 2 months ago that Treasury Secretary Baker announced agreement on the framework for a free trade deal between the United States and Canada. But it wasn't until last weekend that the details of a treaty were nailed down during marathon negotiations in Ottawa. If the U.S. Senate and the Canadian Parliament ratify the treaty, it will eliminate most barriers to cross-border trade that amounts to $150 billion a year. The megabucks corporate feud between Pennzoil and Texaco may be over. Pennzoil says it's agreed to accept not less than $3 billion to settle the $10 billion dispute that began in 1984 when Texaco made a bid for Getty Oil after Pennzoil had already made a merger deal. The A.H. Robbins Company was forced into bankruptcy by claims from women who say they were injured by the Dalcon Shield intrauterine device. On Friday, a federal judge ordered Robbins to set aside $2.5 billion to settle those claims as it prepares to merge with the Rohrer Group. The two companies say they'll comply. And the Washington summit produced a development that's sure to make the fur fly. As a goodwill gesture, the Reagan administration wants to lift a ban on imports of Soviet mink. Midwestern mink ranchers are up in arms.
Nobody's going to tell me that if they lift the Russian fur embargo, it's going to help our industry.
Domestic mink costs about twice as much to produce as the imported variety. Bill Whitney, CBS News.
Well, Wish TV can brighten the economic outlook for the unemployed of Central Indiana by giving them the chance to attract the attention of area businesses through an appearance on Job Track. And here's tonight's applicant.
My name is Daryl Daniels, and I'm seeking a position in high-volume sales or business management. I have 5 years of direct selling experience. I also have advanced military and college experience. I have knowledge of small computers and production scheduling. I work well independently, enjoy public contact, and am very responsible. My resume and references will be furnished upon request. Thank you.
For more information, call 232-JOBS.
And when we come back, you'll see how the IRS can tell you who's been naughty or nice on their tax returns.
He's claiming it was dinner for 12 on that date and it was $120. We want to look at that and we can say that it was actually a dinner for 2 at $12.50.
Make Galleons your sports center for the holidays because Galleons has it all. Select a Garcia 521 Plus Ambassador Reel with free extra spool, only $49.99. Plus Hellbender Baitcast Rod and Garcia Sweater, a $70 value free with purchase. And from Minn Kota, the 65M Transamount electric motor with 28 pounds thrust and weedless prop. Quiet Power catches fish, only $149.99. Are you serious about your sports? You know we are. Galleons.
Buy UNICEF greeting cards and make a dream come true by immunizing the world's children. UNICEF cards can turn that dream into reality and more. The cards help provide a simple therapy that has already saved 1 million lives and can save many millions more. That's why UNICEF cards are a special way to send your love. They bring much more than a greeting. They make dreams come true by providing medicines and growth charts, primary health care, and education about nutrition. These aren't just dreams. They're happening right now all over the world. Remember, every time you buy UNICEF cards, you help save a child's life. UNICEF.
And I want a basketball, and I want all the children to visit Santa's house. It's in Union Station's Trackside Market, and it's open every day until Christmas Eve. At Santa's house, you can decorate a cookie, listen to Mrs. Claus tell a story, and talk to the big guy himself. Santa's house is sponsored by Kappa Alpha Theta Sorority, and proceeds benefit speech and hearing institutions. So come to Santa's house at Union Station. Oh, and I also want Pacers season tickets. Ho, ho!
Well, Christmas came early today for a special group of youngsters from all over the Hoosier State. It was the annual Muscular Dystrophy Foundation's Christmas party hosted by the Indiana Firefighters Union. 36 young people and their parents were invited for an afternoon of games, gifts, and holiday merriment. Firefighter Gary Campbell attended his 20th party this afternoon, and he says it gets better every time.
There was one little boy sitting in the front row, and when we said you had to sing real loud for Santa Claus to come, and if you don't sing loud, he just absolutely burst out. You could hear him above everybody. So he was extremely anxious for Santa Claus to come. And then when we read his name off for his gifts, his name was Boomer, which I thought was very appropriate for a little guy like that to have a booming voice. But all these kids, it's neat to see them smile. They don't have a whole lot to smile about, and it's neat to see them smile once in a while.
Various fire stations provided each one of their guests with one gift from their Christmas wish list. Today marked the 31st anniversary of the annual get-together.
That's nice. Well, it's considered the most sophisticated criminal laboratory anywhere in the world. But surprisingly enough, it doesn't deal with murderers, robbers, or other criminals. Instead, it has one target: tax cheaters. Rob Morheim shows us how the Internal Revenue Service works.
At the height of his power, ruthless Chicago gangster Al Capone was a suspect in hundreds of crimes, among them murder, extortion, robbery, and racketeering. But he was convicted of only one crime: tax evasion. The smoking gun, this handwriting forgery, discovered by a criminal investigator for the Internal Revenue Service. That was in 1931.
When we're looking at fingerprints, we're looking at...
And this is 1987. This is the forensic laboratory of the IRS, located in downtown Chicago. It is the most sophisticated criminal laboratory of its kind in the country. If you've cheated on your taxes, chances are the technology is here to prove it, even if you just simply doctored a dinner receipt.
Check. Somebody would put that down as the date, who it is. We can tell that that's added. by separating the light rays again. He's claiming that it was dinner for 12 on that date and it was $120. We want to look at that and we can say that it was actually a dinner for 2 at 12:50.
What you just saw is image enhancement in its simplest form. But this process was also used to convict a corrupt Chicago judge who illegally burned personal financial records in his East Troy, Wisconsin summer home.
And what we did is we retrieved the documents from the burn barrel and brought them out through image enhancement and plating them out, taking them between glass plates. Came up with documents we could identify.
While the lab can determine the authenticity of things that are written, it can also clear up questions in things that are spoken. This is a voice print machine. It is as accurate in identifying people through voice as fingerprints are through touching.
Looking back at some of the items that made news this week, Mayor Hudnett traveled to Washington to consult with the Federal Communications Commission about a frequency for a county-wide 911 system. The FCC must make a decision on a backup radio frequency before the enhanced 911 system can be fully implemented. Hudnett says the city should get the improved emergency operation up and working as soon as possible. An employee of the Indianapolis Wholesale Club who reported a food tampering incident last week is now charged with the crime. 21-year-old James Lawson reported finding a syringe and a package of oatmeal at the East Side store. However, he later admitted sticking the needle in the bag.
Well, you know about many of the laws passed by the State General Assembly this year, a major education reform package, a mandatory seatbelt law, and the 65-mile-an-hour speed limit. But other statutes may also be felt by Hoosiers who don't even know the laws exist. Dan Byron has a case in point.
By virtue of a little-known law passed in 1987, Indiana legislators, in a last-minute move, dramatically changed Indiana's divorce law. For divorce cases filed on or after September 1, 1987, all spouses are now basically entitled to receive 1/2 of the marital assets under the new law. The new law goes on to say that the husband or wife can still show an entitlement to something more or less than 1/2, but only if they can prove one or more of the following factors by good, solid evidence. Number one, that they contributed more than 50% of the money towards acquiring the property. Number two, that the property was acquired by one of the spouses prior to the time of the marriage. Number three, that the property was acquired by one of the spouses through an inheritance or a gift made to that person alone. Number four, that the other spouse has wasted the marital assets, for example, by gambling away the money, by drinking, or by gifts to third parties. And finally, number five, that one of the spouses has substantially greater earning power. Additionally, if there is little or no marital property involved, the court may now award an additional sum of money for the payment of a spouse's higher education, which would include tuition, books, and various fees. In such a manner, the lawmakers intended to take care of the wife who has maintained a home while her husband worked and now finds herself in need of obtaining a higher education. So, under the new law, husbands and wives will split 50-50 all property accumulated during the marriage unless attorneys for one of the spouses can present a good case that these other factors are present. And if this evidence is weak, then it is apparent that judges will be granting awards in which both spouses receive 50% of the assets. This is Dan Byron for Wish TV, News 8.
And if you have any questions about the law, send them in writing to Dan Byron in care of Wish TV, Post Office Box 7088, Indianapolis. The zip is 46207.
Well, still ahead, Tom Magnuson will have a life's history of a winter storm when we come back.
And Kids and Santa, you'll see how the charming relationship develops.
We're in the malls every day and we're by Santa and we look at him and we look at pictures and books. But she's fine to look at him, but just don't put her on his lap.
Terra Treatment Center specializes in the treatment of women with alcohol and drug addictions. For information, call 812-526-2611.
For more than 20 years, 60 Minutes.
Each Sunday evening at 7 on Wish TV, Channel 8.
After a day of battling on the front lines, the last thing you need is kitchen duty. So tonight on your way home, stop off at Pizza Hut and pick up a hot, delicious Pizza Hut pan pizza to go.
Announcing the Pizza Hut Party Pack offer. Call now and get 2 delicious medium cheese pan pizzas to go for $10.99. And only $1.29 per topping covers both medium pizzas. Get your holiday party pack tonight.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
And if you can, please, help someone else have a Merry Christmas too.
The Salvation Army, believing in miracles.
If you missed it earlier, a major weather system out west heading our way. Tom Magnuson has been checking it out. Tom?
That's right, Neil. And typically folks ask us, how do you know which way a storm is moving? And the way we do that is we look at the jet stream winds. Those are the steering currents for the big storms in the southwest. Right now that low is over El Paso, Texas. As you can see here by the steering currents, looks like it is going to move up to the northeast through Oklahoma and then through parts of Illinois and back through southeastern Wisconsin. So as it does, we are going to be on the relatively mild side of that storm with heavy snow bands off to the northwest of us. Now then, to get a real snowmaker here in Indiana, we really need a low down here in the western Gulf, and what we call it is a Texas low. And those lows typically move to the northeast through Ohio, and behind that we get a cool to cold northerly flow of air, and that sets up a heavy snow band that usually runs from central and southern Illinois back through the central part of Indiana. Now, we have seen some heavy snowmakers in our time here in Indiana. In fact, we have some actual footage of the blizzard of '78 here, where we had 15 to 20 inches of snow, whipped by winds of up to 50 miles per hour. Remember those empty grocery store shelves? We had the earth movers there moving the snow, and just a lot of havoc across central Indiana, the snow blowers there downtown. That was a once-in-a-100-year storm, and again, the storm that we are seeing is going to move to the northwest of us in the next few days, so that means a lot of rain for us, particularly tomorrow night. Neil and Tina?
Well, Tom, thank you. May not always have snow, but this happens every holiday season. You take the kids to go and sit on Santa's lap, only to find the little one's smiles turn to tears.
Well, a Minnesota researcher claims she may know why. Mike Strand reports.
For young kids, visiting with Santa can often be overwhelming.
You can see it. It's in their eyes. They jump right up on your lap, or they may just their eyes get big and they start running away. Sometimes they won't even come up near you.
And for parents, kids' reluctance to see St. Nick can be both frustrating and difficult to understand.
If she won't go, I mean, I'm not going to make her. You know, she'll just cry and get upset and get me upset.
Little Dan here, for instance, felt right at home on Santa's knee, but as the instant replay shows, Sister Alicia wanted no part of it.
We're in the malls every day, and we're by Santa, and we look at him, and we look at pictures in books, but she's fine to look at him, but just don't put her on his lap.
Now, a University of Minnesota researcher has found that young children often use sophisticated means of coping to short-circuit their stress and overexcitement. But as you might expect, some kids are more adept at it than others.
So Santa Claus is sort of the prototypical scary stranger, but with the added quality of being presumably this very jolly, friendly person who gives you toys.
Megan Gunner's 6-month study of toddlers' first encounter with rabbits convinced her children as young as 9 months feel more comfortable if they're in control. She says youngsters will often distract themselves with something boring to keep their excitement under control, sort of a psychological break. Gunner's prescription for parents: go slow with new experiences like Santa.
Take a fair amount of time to get used to the situation, and then just reading the child's cues and recognizing that the child suddenly losing interest for a few moments doesn't mean that they really necessarily lost interest. Give them a little time.
I'm Dick Rea, and coming up from Brebeuf High School, a basketball player that truly is in a class by herself.
When your garage doors or electric openers need service, call us at Garage Doors of Indianapolis. Call us this morning for service today. Today.
Sometimes love is grand.
From 1 to 10, I would have to rate Tony as a 30.
Sometimes love is unpredictable.
He doesn't know how to leave a tip. He left change, and when he thought I wasn't looking, he went and got that.
And sometimes love hurts.
Like you said, I'm too much man for a woman like you. Yeah, you fat. That's what it is.
The Love Connection, weekdays at 5 on Wish TV, Channel 8.
Buy UNICEF greeting cards and make a dream come true by immunizing the world's children. UNICEF cards can turn that dream into reality and more. The cards help provide a simple therapy that has already saved 1 million lives and can save many millions more. That's why UNICEF cards are a special way to send your love.